Morning everyone, welcome to another daily devotional. Today we're in the book of Colossians and chapter 1 verses 13 and 14. There we read these words: He has rescued us, the He there being God, from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son He loves, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. He has rescued us from the dominion of darkness. Back in 2002, Ingrid Berkenkoer, along with several other humanitarian workers, were captured by FARC rebels and held in the jungles of Colombia against their wills. They were held there for 6 years, and during those 6 years, Ingrid did not see her children or her family. Many appeals were made to the FARC rebels for their release. And whilst some of the captives were released, Ingrid and several others were not. They were moved from one part of the jungle to another, often by helicopter, and the governments who were involved decided that they would try to work with the Colombian government in trying to arrange a snatch, some kind of way by which to get the hostages out. They were trying to rescue them. Eventually in 2008, Operation Checkmate was put into operation. The FARC rebels were tricked into believing that they were moving the hostages from the location where they were to another location in the jungle. And a helicopter came in and landed, manned, so the FARC rebels thought, by FARC rebel supporters. In fact, inside the helicopter were members of the Colombian army. There were also some FARC rebels who got on board the helicopter with the hostages in order to transfer them to where they were going. But inside the helicopter, those two FARC rebel men were overcome, and although the hostages initially really believed that they were just being moved to another location in the forest, once the helicopter was airborne and away from the FARC rebel camp, the government troops revealed who they were, and the hostages were freed without a single drop of blood being spilt. They had suffered greatly while they were hostages. Many of them had illnesses like malaria and hepatitis. Many of them had infections as a result of bites and cuts. But thankfully, all of them were safely rescued. Our passage today says, He, God, has rescued us from the dominion of darkness. God, in the person of Christ, entered into the jungle of this world in which we were being held captive. And God initiated a wonderful rescue plan that had been many, many years in the planning. It was put into effect in time when Jesus came into the world, and it was brought to its completion when Jesus on the cross rescued us. That's why Paul says here, He's rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of His Son He loves, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. God rescued us from our captivity, and by God's grace, we are now free. Ingrid Berkenkoer was delighted to be free. She couldn't believe it. And she cherishes and treasures the freedom that was purchased for her by those brave soldiers who went into enemy territory and who brought about that redemption, that rescue. We give thanks to God today for the one who rescued us from the dominion of darkness, rescued us from sin, and has given us freedom in Christ. Jesus said, if the Son makes you free, you will indeed be free. Let's give thanks to God today for the freedom from sin that you and I as Christians enjoy. Have a good day, brethren.